NFC North free agent preview. A division that seems to be probably going to finish in a similar fashion they finished last year: Green Bay, Chicago, Minnesota, Detroit. Although Detroit does have Jared Goff now instead of Matthew Stafford, which
So yeah, it was my job to fix Detroit, and they're in tank mode. That's a tank mode type of situation there.
hmm
I also agree. That's the order. It's Green Bay's division. Whenever Aaron Rodgers is healthy, it's Green Bay's division.
yeah, yeah,
Minnesota is just as good as Chicago. That's your 8-8, 7-9, 9-7. But now I guess it's 9-8, 8-9 type
yeah.
of teams. That's what Minnesota and Chicago have been the last few years. So
Yeah.
that's
So I guess we'll kick it off with the defending division winner, one score away from being in the Super Bowl, Green Bay Packers. That seems like a yearly thing for them. Uh,
No. One score away is an improvement. They just get blown out.
That's very true. That's very true. Green Bay just did a bunch of restructurings and stuff yesterday to even get to even cap space. They don't really have any money to work with, even after all their restructurings and letting Corey Linsley out the door. They're basically stuck at nothing. But with a little bit of with like a possible Aaron Rodgers extension if they want to do it, or possibly cutting up. They restructured Preston Smith, and that opened up a little bit more space. So Green Bay is they're going to be barrel scraping when it comes to free agency this year. You don't expect Green Bay to be big time players, but we know what Green Bay's needs are. They have a need a receiver, they have a need a linebacker, and they have a need on the interior defensive line. For Green Bay, I went with Brashad Perriman. First round pedigree. We know he's super duper fast, which would definitely help Devontae Adams work the middle of the field more effectively if Rashad Perriman could be out there stretching the field for them.
Definitely a better MVS.
Yeah, there's like another version of Marquez Valdez Scantling, basically. I like Alan Lazard too, and we know Aaron Rodgers can turn guys into weapons, but Rashad Perriman being a guy with some natural talent already, along with game-breaking speed, I think would be a good fit for Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers.
So I guess my first question is, would you prefer, because we did find out yesterday that they re-signed Aaron Jones.
Yes.
4 years, $48 million. Would you prefer to put that money into a Will Fuller, Curtis
I think you know
Samuel
the answer to that.
number 2?
Obviously.
Obviously.
Green Bay over the last year, Green Bay has had some of the worst asset management I've seen. And that's not even including the questionable Jordan Love pick last year at 26, because even I'm fine with that. If you think he's your next franchise guy, and you thought you were close to getting to a Super Bowl, whether you drafted him or not, I can live with that pick.
I also can live with that one.
The second round.
That running back, he looked good.
He looked okay. He looked fine, and you remember, and everyone knows that the 2020 class was lauded as the greatest receiving class of all time. Everyone talked about it all year. You could have found guys first through sixth round, starting caliber guys, and Green Bay decided to go with a non-pass catching running back in AJ Dillon. And
Definitely could have taken Claypool there. I don't know if he was. Did they take him in the second? Or
They took him in the second.
So Pittsburgh wasn't in the playoffs the year before, so they were definitely higher. So they took
Yeah.
Claypool first, but there were receivers to be. There were receivers to be had.
There were receivers to be had, no question about it. And the fact that Green Bay just passed on any guy to help take the pressure off of Devontae Adams and give Aaron Rodgers another target, that just seems like poor decision making. And then to go pay a running back a long term deal when it's been proven time after time after time that it's usually not worth it. Even Derrick Henry went and carried the Tennessee Titans with 2K yards, and when the playoffs rolled around, 50 yards in a first round exit. Like, running backs the league is about throwing the ball, having a bunch of weapons. The rules are catered to it. That's how you should be building your team around. But moving on from that, Green Bay has a big need of linebacker. They lost Blake Martinez to the New York Giants last year.
I'm very surprised they just let him out the door, really.
They haven't really found a comparable replacement for him, so I went with Denzel Perryman, the former Chargers linebacker. He's a veteran.
I actually like him a lot as a sneaky free agent.
He's been proven to be a highly productive guy. You know that Green Bay loves that 3-4 scheme, so he'll be here to make a bunch of tackles. He's not great in coverage, but he can get the job done in that area too.
Also, pause for a quick moment. We just got breaking news that the Matthew Judon deal is done.
In New England?
He'll be going to New England for a 4-year, $56 million deal.
Oh, man.
I had him. I had those guys priced at 3 for 51. So a lot of these guys are.
It's just I think we all knew New England was going to be spending money. And that's exactly what they're doing.
So we could take him.
Jacksonville brought in Roy Robertson Harris, a defensive tackle, for 3 years, $24 million. And what else am I seeing here? I saw Jalen Mills get a deal.
Jalen Mills. Who's
Jalen Mills to the Patriots, 4 years, $24 million.
Yeah.
So New England, big spending in free agency like we predicted.
14 mil for Judon is not that bad, dog. Well,
No, it's not.
it's not bad. That's New England will never.
We know New England's never gonna. New England rarely gonna overpay.
Yeah, but yeah, back to NFC North here.
Yeah. Just a quick little. The last need for Green Bay Packers, I went with the interior defensive line. Mike Daniels obviously has moved on. Kenny Clark looked like he was on his way to being that next tier of Chris Jones and Aaron Donald, but for whatever reason he just tapered off a little bit. So I went with obviously they have to go cheap, so I went with Jarrell Casey, who just got cut from Denver. He's coming for cheap. He's played in the 3-4 his whole career. He's a solid run stuffer, which Green Bay has had their biggest issues with, slowing down the run. So I think a Jarrell Casey, a veteran guy on a team that's on the fringe of a Super Bowl appearance, I think that would be a good fit and a good cheap signing for Green Bay to be able to upgrade their defensive line and their defensive interior and give them a chance to get over the top next year. Next up, we got the Chicago Bears, who probably the worst playoff team in the NFL last season. I think that's pretty clear.
Easily. No. Unfortunately, the Washington football team was a playoff team.
I think I'd rather have Washington football team's roster.
And as I think about it right now, I also do think I would agree with that too. So Chicago didn't have the worst playoff team last year.
I think Chicago was the worst playoff team last year. So
even though don't forget, they beat Tampa Bay in the regular season last year.
Yeah, because Tom Brady didn't know. For those who didn't see, I held up 4 fingers because Tom Brady does not know how many downs there are when he plays Nick Foles, apparently. But the Chicago Bears, who were in the second worst cap situation this going into this offseason.
Third. Everybody knows that New Orleans and Philadelphia were the losers.
But we know the Bears have a ton of decisions to make. Mr. Trubisky is obviously going to be a free agent this year. They brought in Nick Foles, but that didn't really work out that well, despite them being a playoff team. There's still a bunch of talent in that defense. They restructured Eddie Jackson. They restructured Khalil Mack, so you know those guys are going to be here for the long term. They gave the franchise tag to Allen Robinson. So the Bears are going to bring back their core guys. To give them some cap space, I extended Kendall Fuller, because he has shown the ability to be a quality starting corner. Kyle Fuller for the Bears, because he's shown the ability to be a number 1 corner. They got Jalen Johnson across from him, keep that defense together. They should cut Jimmy Graham. I don't really understand.
He had a good season last year.
He had a good season last year, but we know Jimmy's in his mid-30s now. He's never going to be that guy he was in New Orleans. Yeah, you can save $7 million for a team that's over the cap.
For that, he's got to get cut. Unfortunately,
I think you got to cut him. And this one was a tough one, but I said you should extend Akeem Hicks. Maybe some dummy avoidable years. I like Akeem Hicks is still a good player, but obviously
the injuries are starting to pile up.
Things are starting to pile up for him a little bit. But in order to they have to get over the cap, and they got to open up some space, because Chicago isn't a team that's exactly close to winning anything. But we know Chicago's big needs at quarterback.
Are they going to pull this plug? Pull the trade? Pull it? Make it happen? Go get Russell Wilson?
I think it makes a lot of sense, but I honestly don't think he's getting traded. And I think Chicago's going to have to find a more creative means to get their quarterback, and that's going to have to come in the draft. I don't think they're going to be able to realistically get Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson, and we know no big-time guys are really available.
Not even a Winston?
And Winston looks like he's going to stay with New Orleans.
Yeah.
So the quarterback target I went for them actually is Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, you know how I feel about Tyrod Taylor.
And it's like, this thing, Tyrod Taylor was going to be a starting quarterback last year until a doctor tried to kill him.
And I'm going to keep telling you that even then I was telling you that made no sense then.
I don't disagree with you, but Tyrod Taylor has shown the ability to at least be competent quarterback. He'll probably come in and compete with Nick Foles for a possible starting job. The Bears aren't going to really be able to solve their quarterback woes this year. No real cap space, so they're priced out of the Fitzmagic bracket. So Tyrod Taylor on a 1-year veteran min deal could possibly come in there and help you out. I think that would be a decent way to go.
But if you're starting the season and your quarterback room consists of Tyrod Taylor and Nick Foles, are you even trying that year?
They don't have a lot of options, Isaiah.
I think they have to pull whatever that Russell Wilson deal takes.
But if Seattle's unwilling, what can you really do? I'm sure if Chicago would love to go to Seattle and say name your price.
I don't know.
But if Seattle says we don't have one, what can you really do?
I don't know if Seattle's as unwilling as Houston to say. I think for the right price, you could get Russell Wilson. For 3 first-round picks, I'm pretty sure you could walk away with Russell Wilson off of Seattle.
I don't know why Seattle does that.
the relationships, these relationships. Apparently, the relationships are sour. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I'd rather fire. I think it'd be cheaper to just fire Pete Carroll than to move on from Russell Wilson. But for right now, since there's no Russell Wilson deal that seems to be happening imminently, I went with a veteran stopgap. They're gonna have to use their assets to get up in the draft and try to go get a guy.
hopefully they don't trade up for a quarterback that ends up becoming Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah, you can only hope. The Bears also need help in their offensive line. Kyle Long's going to leave in free agency this year. Their offensive line hasn't really had a bunch of talent on it in a little bit in a while. I liked them picking up Lane Johnson or whatever, but they could use some more either veteran or young talent. I went with Riley Reef, the tackle from Minnesota,
Okay.
and Detroit, because keep him in the NFC North. He's been productive, if not a good above average level offensive lineman. He can play multiple positions, and it could really go in there and give them a better chance of protecting whoever is starting at quarterback for Chicago in 2021. I also went with a big need for them is still receiver. They brought in Allen Robinson on the franchise tag. Obviously, he's a number one guy, no doubt. He's your focal point of your offense. But I don't know how I feel about Darnell Mooney. Anthony Miller hasn't really shown the ability to be a productive playmaker for Chicago as of right now. So I went with AJ Green.
Okay.
AJ Green, who had an up and down season the last few years since he hurt dealing with those foot problems, but he's shown flashes of being still able to be a quality player when have a quarterback who can actually get him the ball.
Very low risk, very high
low
reward.
risk. He's probably not going to come for a lot. Still a big body, contested catch maker type of guy. You pair him with Allen Robinson, and I think you can with the little cap space that they have, I think that'd be a good player to come in who can possibly be better than what the price tag is.
Definitely think that'd be a good idea. Oh, so what did you do with the Allen Robinson situation?
I mean, as of right now, they're probably gonna play him on the tag because they really don't have the space to really give him a big time extension. And an extension would probably be more expensive than the tag he's playing on right now. So for right now, I got them just leaving Allen Robinson alone and maybe trying to work on that deal next year when they can open up a little bit more space.
Okay. Well, I guess we're gonna move on to Minnesota now.
Yeah.
Minnesota is such a weird team. I don't really know what they have. They're far. They're not a championship caliber team at all.
Nope.
And probably after signing Kirk Cousins, the window for that has probably passed, and they probably will never be a championship caliber team. But I mean, if they restructure Kirk Cousins, restructure Danielle Hunter, who we heard today they might think about trading, restructure Thielen, maybe even think about trading him too, maybe even think about trading Cousins if you can. But I don't think the people that are there now can afford to trade.
I don't think Mike Zimmer is trying to blow it up.
If he trades those guys, he's leaving with them. So
Yeah.
I don't think he's stuck with these guys. But they can cut Riley Reef, save $13 million.
Which they've already done.
They've already done that. I figured some of these cuts were so easy that the lineman cuts were so easy this year that I was like, oh yeah, that guy's got to go. And Pierce, I don't know if they've cut Pierce yet, but Pierce saves an extra $2 million. So that's a lot of money. That's about $40 million saved up if they needed to get it, because they don't have the cap space now, but they don't really need it. But if I was them, I would be looking to sign the two Cincinnati guys because we know that Zimmer has a connection to Cincinnati.
4-3 connection with Cincinnati. Those guys fit slide in perfectly. Carl Lawson is an Everson Griffin replacement. William Jackson is Xavier Rhodes replacement. Yeah.
And those, if they felt the need to go get one of those guys, they also have Harrison Smith, who if they cut him or restructure, if they cut him, they could save $10 million. And he was great. He was good last year, but he's starting to slip. So he better watch out if one of these guys think they really want to go to Cincinnati. Carl Lawson would fit the scheme, fit the system. William Jackson, those guys just seem like Minnesota Vikings play. Those are the two guys that I see they could clearly be after if they wanted a big fish. And as for Detroit, what can we say about Detroit?
They got Jared Goff.
I like their coach. I don't even know if he can coach. He's a former New York Giants special teams tight end. He had that interim job in Miami for a little, but also during that time wasn't the coach caught doing the blow in the locker room.
Yeah, lucky him.
Lucky him. So Detroit, man, I mean, they've got $13 million cap space if they were to cut the running back Johnson and Deshaun Hand and Geronimo Allison, and David Blau, and Danny Shelton, and the Williams kid.
All sound like credible guys to me.
Yeah, that could save you $13 million. And if they wanted to restructure Flowers, man, they really could suck it up and take. If they want to be productive this offseason, they might just cut Trey Flowers and take that cap hit and have money for later.
You don't really plan on being competitive, so.
I don't know what this team's gonna be. I don't have any. If I was the Detroit Lions GM, I mean, I guess they could throw some money at a Josh Johnson because they're from the Rams organization. So a Josh Johnson.
Yeah, they do help in that secondary. Jeff Okudah did not look like a guy worthy of the number 3 overall pick last year.
I told you I wasn't very high on him at corner for a top 10 pick. He just didn't. His athletic profile didn't fit a top 10 pick, much less a guy who went 3 overall. So they might have a first round bust at corner from the last regime. So he might be out the door. So I mean, really, just the 2 LA guys, Johnson and the pass rusher Floyd. If they wanted to throw some money at those guys, maybe one of the linemen, maybe go trade for one of those Rams linemen to save them some money. That could work, but. I guess the final question is it clear that Detroit will be the worst team in this division next year?
I mean, I think you have to say yes.
Not 0-16 bad, luckily.
No, not 0-16. As much as we shit on Jared Goff Goff's good enough to be a 5-6 wing quarterback. Like, on a team that isn't super talented. Like, even with Jeff Fisher and those guys, they won 4 or 5 games. So, as much as we shit on Jared Goff can play a little.
Yeah, literally. He can play a little.
Now, what about Kenny? No chance of them going back to bringing back Kenny Galladay?
They didn't let him hit the market to bring it. No, there's no chance. Even if they gave him all their cap space of $20 million offer.
Marvin Jones Jr. is a free agent too.
And the rumors are
Danny Amendola.
The rumors are Marvin Jones is going to LAR to go team back up with Stafford. That's the rumor for him. And Danny Amendola could easily be going to play with Tom Brady in Tampa Bay. Or going back to New England. But yeah, I guess, I've got Detroit at the bottom. So I guess we choose between Minnesota and... I think Chicago, if they were to get Russell Wilson, that's the only way they could become in the category to compete.
If Chicago gets Russell Wilson, you could easily put them as a division favorite, just based off of what they have around them. But until that miracle happens, I think we have to... them in Minnesota are basically, like you said, neck and neck for 2.
I'll take Minnesota as my 2. But they're both like a 2A and a 2B. They're going to be the middle 2 teams in the division because they're not Detroit bad, but they're not Green Bay good. And I guess Green Bay is going to win. So I guess the real question is Green Bay really a title contender? Are they a top 3 team in the NFC?
I think if they have Aaron Rodgers, they're going to be bringing most of their guys back. I think you have to make them a contender. I still like them better than the Rams. I don't like them better than Tampa Bay. But I like them better than all the NFC West teams. So for right now, I think the Packers could be the second best contender in the NFC for right now. But we always know with Aaron Rodgers that you'll probably be close, but no cigar.
That's the story of Aaron Rodgers' career, isn't it? Well, I guess that's it for our free agency preview, and then we'll get back to everybody in a couple weeks with reviewing the free agency moves that we're going through. Any last things do you think let's go with this one. What player do you think is guaranteed to be overpaid this year in the free agency?
Guaranteed to be overpaid this year in free agency. There are a lot of good names here. Curtis Samuel is a guy who I think could be overpaid in free agency. William Jackson's probably a guy who's going to get overpaid in free agency. Anthony Harris, the safety from Minnesota, because safeties get 16, 18 million now.
So you're good with those 3 guys?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I surprisingly, I think both of the Cincinnati guys will get overpaid.
Mm-hmm.
The corners and pass rushers always get overpaid, and I'm guessing people are saying Kenny Galladay is the guy that's going to get overpaid, but I'm going to go with I'm pretty sure what we just seen here. We just saw New England hand out a contract to Jalen Mills.
Yeah.
And
that seems to be the biggest overpay of the offseason so far. But
yeah,
it's New England, so he might just order the scheme and end up being good because that's what New England do.
But
a last sneaky one is Corey Davis, the receiver from Tennessee. He definitely has that pedigree of being a guy who could get paid 15, 16 million, but he's probably more of a $10 to $12 million player.
And if we're talking in that case, then we always know Mr. Jadeveon Clowney is always a candidate to get overpaid.
As the most overrated player in the league, it only makes sense for him to be the most overpaid player in the league.
All right, and we'll be back next time to talk about so we can review these free agency transactions after they happen.
And get ready for the draft.
All right.